Hey guys, what is going on? Lego Man Winch there, and welcome back to another video where today I'll be getting down my top 5 Lego themes I want from Lego. So without further ado, let's get into it. Starting off at number 5, we have Back to the Future. Now, we haven't seen a Lego Ideas or a Lego Cusco set because at the time that set did come out, it was still called Lego Cusco, and that was of the DeLorean, and it was like a 3-in-1 build because it each had features from each of the DeLoreans in the 3 films, and we did get 2 minifigs, Doc Brown and then Marty McFly, but there's just so much potential with a Back to the Future theme because they could have sets from all 3 movies with like some really nice minifigs with like young versions of Marty's parents and all that. It'd be just really interesting to have like different sets based on the 3 movies. And I definitely think it'd be really cool to actually have these different sets based in different years because it'd be cool to see just how much changes within these different designs and all that because each of the movies do take place in a different time era. So I'd definitely love to see how Lego do sort of make that happen to make it look really realistic. And the minifig selection I think would definitely be like the strongest part because we would get like a lot of Marty McFly's in his different sort of uniforms or his costumes he does wear, and a lot of really nice variants of both Marty and Doc. And the build would also be really awesome. And I hope like they make a new updated version of the DeLorean for like one of the sets, and then just with each of the other sets, the only thing they wouldn't include is the DeLorean because I think having a DeLorean in every single set would just be really repetitive. So they'd only have one Pacific set with the DeLorean, and then each of the other sets will be just like buildings and all that type of stuff from each of the movies. Coming up at number 4, we have Transformers, and I'm really surprised Lego haven't actually created this, and I can see why, because it would be really hard to create robots in Lego what can actually transform, but I definitely think Lego could do it, and it would be really awesome to see how they actually create a robot with like minimum pieces and actually transform, because I definitely think that'd be such an awesome theme, and they could base it off the movies, the TV shows. There's just so much more potential with the Transformers movies and TV shows because they could have like Generation 1, they could just have like a mishmash of different Transformers, and like they could create some really awesome sets. But I definitely think Lego would struggle actually creating these robots at like a good size and actually having them transform because I definitely think that'd be quite a hard part. So I could see why they haven't done this just yet, but I definitely think in the future when more pieces to actually create robots and all that are made, I could definitely see them creating like a Transformers theme. At number 3, we have the Adventures of Tintin, and this was first established from her. Hopefully I am saying that correctly, but very sorry if I am not. And this was a comic book series, and I have read mostly all of them. I think I've only not read one, but I'm not 100% sure on which that one is. And when I first saw the comic books and read them, I was surprised that Lego haven't actually created a theme on this because there's some really awesome adventures in the TV show because like they based the TV show off the comics, and there's a lot of really fun moments which Lego should actually create in Lego. For instance, they could create a really awesome rocket from like one of the comic books, and then like just a bunch of other themes like in the jungle, and then what else is there? When they go like underwater to find Red Raccoon's treasure. There's just so much potential for a theme on the Adventures of Tintin, and they could even base sets on the movie as well. I definitely think that'd be really awesome. But I think the strongest part about this theme would probably be the minifigs, because there's so many awesome characters in the Tintin universe. So I could definitely see them creating like a lot of minifigs. So for instance, you've got like Tintin and Snowy, you've got Captain Haddock, you've got Thompson and I always get those two mixed up. Thompson and Thompson. Oh man. And then you have like Professor Calculus. I think that's what his name is. So it's just so many minifigs they could do, and just a lot of potential for some really awesome and fun sets. But I can definitely see potentially why Lego haven't actually created a theme on this, and that is because the TV show and the comic books, they actually deal on a lot of world issues with like racism and like that type of stuff. So I could see why Lego haven't created a theme on it just yet, because they're not too sure like how to do it, and they don't want to like accidentally upset people if they like make a mistake and all that, because all that type of stuff is definitely quite serious. And I think Lego want to make sure that they actually get it right, instead of actually making a mistake in a set and then like the world hating them forever because they accidentally did something racist. So I can see why Lego haven't actually done this just yet, because they're really not too sure on how to approach it, because in the comic books I think Herge and the team actually did quite a good job at sort of making it establish that racism is bad and all that, and like these world problems. But I can see Lego sort of struggling to sort of make a balance between the... And number 2, we have the Planet of the Apes, and this is spanning across the original and then all the way up to 2017 when War for Planet of the Apes did conclude. And I'm not including the 2001 version because I don't think Lego would make sets on that, because it's actually a pretty bad movie. But there's just so much potential for a theme with this, because they could do a lot of really awesome minifigs with really nice new molds, some very interesting builds as well, because like in the movies they have some very cool landscapes like all destroyed, and it'd be just really cool to actually see sets on this. What I would most look forward to if Lego did create a theme on this is the 2011 all the way up to the 2017 Planet of the Apes trilogy, because those are some really awesome movies, and just seeing Lego sets on that would be definitely very awesome. For instance, they could create the San Francisco battle on the bridge in the Rise of the Planet of the Apes. That'd be really awesome to see. And then in Dawn, they could create some very interesting landscapes. And War would definitely be really awesome and interesting to actually see as a sort of a sub-theme to like the Planet of the Apes, because they could create some very interesting buildings, like they create like the waterfall where like the apes hide out, and the battles throughout each of these 3 movies would be very awesome to see in Lego. But I definitely think the original version of the Planet of the Apes would also be a part of like this whole sort of Planet of the Apes theme, because they could actually combine it and like have sort of sub-themes from each of the movies, and it'd be very awesome to actually see all these new molds for the apes, the gorillas, the orangutans, and they could just create some awesome landscapes, battles. However, I can possibly see why Lego haven't done this just yet. The reason I think is because these movies definitely do have a lot of world issues involved with them. I think the original versions of the Planet of the Apes had like politics and like corruption and all that, like peace and war, how like they're solving that problem. So I can see why Lego haven't adapted this into a thing yet, because there's definitely a lot of issues. And as with the Tintin, I don't think Lego want to sort of get involved with that in case they do make a mistake. I can possibly see Lego create the 2011 and the 2017 trilogy in its own theme, but the story is just really deep and quite complex to actually create into a theme, and it is quite violent, so maybe Lego won't create it because there is a lot of quite violent scenes, and like they don't want to really encourage war in like its theme. But I definitely think this trilogy is a lot more likely than like the original version of the Planet of the Apes. And finally, we have Avatar: The Last Airbender, but you may be asking yourself, we've already got like a theme based on the hit TV show, but honestly, in my opinion, the 2006 set was supposed to be based on Avatar: The Last Airbender TV show. They honestly look way too much like the movie, and the movie came out in 2010, because these sets don't have that sort of bubbly feeling like the TV show does, and like the characters or the minifigs, they just look really boring and just not really accurate to the TV show. And I definitely think in today's world, Lego could create a Avatar: The Last Airbender thing, because there's just so much potential. They could create sets from each of the books, books 1, books 2, and book 3, and they could just create some very awesome sets based in like the airbending, the earth bending, fire bending, and water bending sort of tribes. There's just so many sets they could do, and it could be like waves. So, for instance, with Hidden Side, they did like a bunch of different waves. So they could do that with Avatar: The Last Airbender. They could just do like a bunch of waves, and I could definitely see it lasting for quite a while because there's just so many sets they could do, and just so many minifigs they could create. But I definitely think my favorite part about this theme, if Lego do create it, would possibly be how they create the elements for each of the minifigs. Like, are they going to use specialized pieces, create new ones to sort of have that movement of water, for instance, or like all the sort of moves they do in the TV show, and then also the buildings, because in each of the four nations they have such unique design and are all very different from one another. So I would definitely love to see Lego actually create each of the different builds for the four nations, and I can definitely see Lego sort of basing these sets off possibly some of the episodes, because some of them were quite awesome to actually see, and then some of them were quite tear-bending. So I can possibly see Lego doing that. There's just so much potential for this theme, and I really hope one day Lego do actually create it. So, hope you guys did enjoy this video, because it was definitely really interesting coming up with my top 5 themes I wish Lego would create, and I really hope in the future Lego actually do create some of these themes, because that would definitely be very awesome. But there is a lot, and I mean a lot of themes Lego still have to create and may not actually create until like the future, like 10 years later, who knows. So if you do have your own themes you want Lego to create, then I would definitely love to hear that down in the comments below, and I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions about my top 5 themes I wish Lego would create. So as always guys, hope you guys did enjoy this video, and can I see so goodbye.